You ever come home from a trip, drop your bags, reach for your door, and suddenly realize your house isn't your house anymore? Like somebody walked right into your life and moved the furniture around in your soul? Yeah, that's where this story begins. And trust me, I wish I were exaggerating, but to this day, when folks ask why I have a bang vault door on a regular suburban home, I just smile and say, well, it all started with a woman named Charlene Mayweather. I'm Hunter Cole. I grew up on a ranch in northern Wyoming where fences meant something, neighbors respected your space, and if you had a problem with somebody, you talked it out over coffee, maybe whiskey if it got serious. So when I bought my house at Maple Hollow Estates, a quiet cul-de-sac on the Oregon coast where retirees walked tiny dogs with names like Mr. Biscuit, I didn't think I was signing up for war. I just wanted the kind of peace you can hear in your bones. Then came Charlene. Picture this. Mid-60s, tall blonde hair that looked like it had its own legal structure, pearls for every occasion including taking out the trash, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was the HOA president, had been for 15 years, and she treated Maple Hollow like her private kingdom. The first day we met, I was planting coral begonia in my front garden, humming to myself, feeling good about life. And I hear, "Mr. Cole, those aren't approved colors." I looked up, dirt on my hands, and there she stood, heels sinking into my lawn like justice descending from heaven. I said, "Approved by who?" She gave me a smile that could curdle paint. "By the Maple Hollow Community Aesthetic Committee. We only allow classic red or patriot pink in front visible garden beds." I thought she was joking. Honest to God, I laughed. That did not help. 2 days later, I got a letter, not a note, not a friendly reminder, but a full printed notice of non-compliance. Bold font like I'd been caught selling illegal begonias from my driveway. $15 a day until I corrected the violation. Now, I don't like trouble. Never have. I sent a polite email, cited page 147 of the bylaws, which said flowers must be maintained in healthy condition and nothing about colors. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. The fines doubled, then tripled. And from that moment on, it was like Charlene had me under surveillance. My mailbox flag wasn't the correct shade of bronze? Fine. My bird feeder was attracting non-compliant avian species? Fine. My trash can was visible from the road for a grand total of 12 minutes past schedule? The woman practically hyperventilated writing that one. Most neighbors just shrugged and said, "It's easier to agree with her, honey. She'll wear you down." But I've spent my life fixing things no one else could fix, working with boilers and wiring and cattle chutes. Stubborn is part of my bloodline. So every fine she sent me, I challenged. Politely. Precisely. And every time I did, something in Charlene's, I twitched a little more. It stopped being about begonias. It became a test. Who did this home belong to? Me or her? And then everything crossed a line. I left town to help my sister in Wyoming when her pipes froze. 7 days gone. Just 7. I asked my neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, sweetest lady you'll ever meet, to grab my mail. When I came back, suitcase in one hand, keys in the other, I went to unlock my door, and the key didn't turn. Not a sticky lock. Not a worn key. A different lock. A new deadbolt, bright brass, like it had just come out of the package. My stomach dropped. I tried the back door. Same thing. That's when Mrs. Alvarez walked outside, holding a bag of groceries. "Well, thank goodness, Hunter," she said. "I was worried. I saw a locksmith van at your house Wednesday. Thought maybe you'd scheduled it." My heart did this slow, hot burn in my chest. A locksmith. "And Charlene was here," she said, lowering her voice, telling him something about a welfare inspection. "I thought you knew. A welfare inspection. On my private property. Without my consent. I called a different locksmith. A guy named Rusty Kane, a big man with forearms like steel beams. He took one look and said, 'No doubt about it. These locks were changed within the last few days. Clean install.' Whoever did this had keys and time. When he finally got me inside, I stepped into my hallway, and at first glance, everything looked normal, until I caught a whiff of perfume, floral and sharp, the exact scent Charlene wore. And there, sitting on my table, was an envelope. HOA letterhead. Important. Urgent. Immediate attention required. I opened it, and I swear to you, it's the closest I've come to ripping a piece of paper in half. due to multiple concerns regarding the condition and aesthetic judgment of your interior living space. The HOA conducted a mandatory compliance inspection. After attempts to contact you were unsuccessful, access was obtained through a licensed professional. Attempts to contact me. There were none. Not one. And there was more. A list of interior violations. Guest bathroom paint lacks cohesive palette. Curtain selection appears uncurated. Decorative philosophy unclear. Decorative philosophy. I didn't even know what that meant. And then, taped to the bottom, a bill charging me $386 for locksmith services I never authorized. I sat in my living room, shaking, anger, disbelief, and something else underneath it. Violation. Nobody had been in my space without permission since I was a kid. Nobody had ever made my home feel like it wasn't mine. I called a lawyer the next morning. Her name was Rita Granger, and the moment I told her what happened, she said, "Hunter, this is not an HOA issue. This is breaking and entering." I expected maybe a letter, a warning, a negotiation. Rita went nuclear. She sent a cease and desist so sharp it could have shaved paint, and within days, people in the neighborhood were whispering. Charlene didn't say a word to me. Not one. But the fine slowed, then stopped. And for about a week, I thought maybe the world had righted itself. Maybe this was over. But my peace had changed shape. I started checking the doors twice. Then 3 times. I found myself wondering, what did she look at? Did she go through my drawers? Did she judge the shirts I haven't folded yet? My home didn't feel like home. It felt like a place someone else had keys to. And that's when the idea came to me. Not out of anger, not out of pettiness, but out of this raw need to reclaim the one thing I owned in this world without negotiation. My door. Not just a stronger one, but one Charlene could never get through again, not with a locksmith, not with a judge, not with a parade of clipboard warriors. A door that said, "This home belongs to me, and nobody enters without my permission." That's when I started researching bank vault doors. I didn't know a thing about vault doors, not beyond the kind you see in old heist movies with men in ski masks spinning a chrome wheel and whispering numbers. So that first night, I stayed up until nearly 3 in the morning reading every article, every forum post, even some wild prepper sites about home fortification solutions. Most of it was nonsense, but then I found a company out of Idaho, Iron Summit Security Fabrication, the kind of place that builds panic rooms for CEOs and underground bunkers for families who think raccoons are organized militia. I called them. I expected laughter. Instead, a man named Marcus Hale said, "Residential vault doors are more common than you think, Mr. Cole. What are we trying to keep out?" I thought for a second, then said, "Someone who doesn't understand a word, no." He didn't ask any more questions. Just, "We can help with that." The door was custom built, industrial steel core, graphite composite reinforcement, 12 locking bolts, and a hand crank was so heavy you had to mean it when you turned it. It would weigh just under 4,000 pounds, which meant installing it would require reinforcing the doorway, the foundation, and, according to Marcus, a level of commitment most homeowners don't possess. Commitment wasn't my problem. 2 months passed. Construction crews came and went. Joanna Alvarez made jokes about me building a Jurassic Park enclosure, and I spent money I absolutely could have used on better things, retirement, my truck, dental work, but every dollar felt like buying back a piece of my dignity. Then, delivery day arrived. It took a crane, an actual crane. Children stopped riding their scooters. Neighbors held their phones over hedges. A retired couple unfolded camping chairs on their driveway like they were attending a parade. I stood there with coffee in my hand, watching that beautiful monster swing slowly over my roof like the world's most stubborn meteor. And of course, that is exactly when Charlene showed up. She walked down the street in a lemon yellow suit, arms tight at her sides, mouth pinched so small it could have been a stapler. "Mr. Cole," she called out, her voice sharp and confident like always until she rounded the corner and saw the door. She stopped moving, completely still. Then she blinked twice, like she was waiting for her brain to reboot. "What?" she finally breathed. "Is that?" I didn't say anything at first. I just looked up at the crane with the door spinning slightly in the sea breeze and said, "Visual harmony, Charlene." I'm enhancing the community's aesthetic narrative. Her jaw tightened. You cannot install a door like that. It is not congruous with the architectural spirit of Maple Hollow Estates. Page 203, I said, trying not to laugh. Exterior doors must be maintained in functional condition and may be replaced at the homeowner's discretion. She turned to the small cluster of neighbors watching. Are you all seeing this? This is outrageous. This is fortress architecture. Someone in the crowd whispered. Honestly, it looks amazing. Charlene spun back to me, shoulders shaking. You will remove it immediately, or there will be consequences. I stepped closer, just enough so she had to look at me instead of the crane. You already broke into my home, I said, quiet, steady. Already crossed the line. I'll let lawyers handle it the first time. But if you try to enter my house again, this door won't be the only thing that stops you. For the first time since I'd moved in, Charlene didn't have a comeback. She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned and marched away so fast her heels stabbed the asphalt. The installation took 3 days. When the final bolt slid into place and the crew stepped back, I spun the wheel, hearing the thick metal settle, and felt something I hadn't felt since I signed the deed. Safety. Not because of the steel, though I won't lie. That helped. It was something deeper. A line drawn, not in paperwork, but in reality. Days later, my lawyer called. We have a settlement, Rita said. The HOA's insurers are paying damages. And Charlene is resigning. Effective immediately. No more letters. No more fines. No more clipboards. Weeks passed. My begonias bloomed. My bird feeder welcomed every kind of winged outlaw. And when new neighbors walked by, they didn't ask what happened. They said, "You're the guy with the vault door, right?" You stood up to her. Some nights I sit by my porch and look at that ridiculous, magnificent slab of steel, and I think about how small it started, flowers, mailboxes, birdseed, and how quickly it grew into something that could have hollowed me out if I'd let it. A home is a strange thing. Wood and nails, pipes and paint, and yet somehow it becomes the place where your soul sleeps. And when someone violates that, it changes you. Charlene sold her house 3 streets over. Rumor says she moved to a lakeside development with no HOA at all, which might be the funniest ending this story could have earned. As for me, well, if anyone out there is fighting with the Homeowners Association, fighting people who think authority is a personality, not a responsibility, maybe my story is a reminder that you don't have to play along. You don't have to hand over pieces of your life just because someone writes rules in bold ink. Sometimes protecting your peace means planting the flowers you like. Sometimes it means calling a lawyer. And sometimes it means installing a bank vault door on a 2-bedroom ranch at the end of a quiet street. Now I want to hear from you. Was I right to go this far, or did I overreact? Have you ever dealt with a power-tripping HOA or a neighbor who thought they owned the world? Tell me your stories in the comments. I read every one of them, and who knows, your story might just be the next one I tell. And if you ever see a locksmith van in your driveway when you're not home, call a lawyer before you call anyone else.